Welcome back to the pod. I'm joined by Max today.
Hello, good morning.
So
How's it going?
we'll probably refer back a lot to the podcast that I just did with Finn, as you also went to America like Finn. You had a bit of a different experience to Finn. Sorry, mate.
I found it well interesting seeing obviously watched that one, and I just found it so interesting seeing like how everything went for him and how different it was, and also some of the similarities as well. And I sort of found it quite funny as well how massively different it was. But
Yeah, we'll definitely go into the similarities and differences. I just wanted to start with sort of most podcasts I like to start with how people sort of started out playing football. So sort of where did you start playing football? How did it come about, sort of thing?
well, so I started off really, really young, when I was probably when I started school. So like maybe about 4 or 5, just like playing in the playground and that. And then a few of the boys like went to Ada Athletic, which was where I ended up playing for like pretty much the whole time we was young. So from like 5 up until 16. And I had to play football anyway because my old man was constantly getting me onto it. So yeah, started really, really young, and then went through the same team for like 15, no, not 15, it's about 10 years.
Yeah, so you played just unlike most people sort of switch between a few Sunday league teams through the years.
Yeah.
You played at one team the whole time. Do you think that was just because you just loved it there, or you just couldn't really be asked to move?
Yeah, well, it had the perfect mix really, Ada, because I mean, obviously, you know pretty much everyone who played for him. It had the perfect mix of being decent and like having a good side, but also I was like such good mates with everyone there. I just never really thought that leaving there'd be any point, because I loved it there. I was gutted when it came to an end. When we were 16, I would have stayed longer.
Is that a big thing for you, sort of playing with mates, like not with random people like me? Football's about having fun for you more than sort of just the like success.
Yeah, well, I think you always make friends with whoever you end up playing with, because you're together so much and you end up becoming friends with them. But I think having your best mates, like as in your mates off the pitch who you go out with and that sort of thing, it's so much more enjoyable when you get a few of them in your football team, because it actually makes playing easier as well, I think, because you have a connection already before you even start playing.
Yeah,
so it makes things a lot easier.
You mentioned there you stopped at 16. That was a big thing I found. Like when you get to that sort of age, that I don't think there's much opportunities to carry on playing football, because it's quite expensive to set up your own Sunday league team. It's hard to rope people in every weekend when people have commitments. Did you find that as well? It's quite hard to carry on playing football when you get to that age.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously same thing would have happened to you at Fishersgate, I take it, when it finished at 16.
Yeah,
everyone sort of split up. Because Ada finished and I was a bit lost really, because been at the same place like 10 years and like loving it, and then all of a sudden it stops and you just sort of expect to just go out and find somewhere yourself. When you're just a 16-year-old kid, you don't really know anyone.
Yeah, do you think that was a big...
So I was gutted really, and it is hard when I end up going to Southwick. It's a massive change going from like under 16s football, and then all of a sudden I was like, you're like playing men's football like only a few months later.
Yeah, do you think it's a big... Obviously we'll get on to you going to America, but do you think that was a big reason in you going there, the lack of sort of chances to carry on playing football here? You just sort of wanted somewhere where you could play?
Yeah, definitely. I thought, definitely, because I thought English football, I think I sort of felt like I'd exhausted all my options really, because I went over to Southwick, and a few of the lads from Ada, when it finished, went to Southwick to play like under 18s football, and ended up breaking into the first team while we were still 16. And it just like, I don't know, I just wasn't really enjoying it, and it just felt like I wanted to do something different really, because I didn't feel as though playing in England was really going anywhere. It was just sort of hard work, and so I was like, I need to sort of try something completely new start sort of thing.
Yeah,
which is was sort of that was sort of the plan really.
Yeah, because obviously you played for one club for 10 years, and then I think you played for, what was it, Southwick? You played for
Southwick for 1 season. Yeah, that was funny. That was good actually.
You went from playing for 10 years to like a few clubs in the space of 1 or 2 years. Was that sort of unstableness in terms of your football club sort of what made you sort of fall out of love of playing for Sunday League?
Yeah, I went to Upper Beedham really, just because like so many of my mates were there. I thought, I've got to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, things weren't going all that well at Southwick at the time. And I thought, oh yeah, like so many of the boys from from Hove Park and like people that I played with before.
Yeah.
We're all at Upper Dean, so I thought, I've got to go and do it. I thought you was going to join actually at one point. I thought you was going to come over.
I tried, but to be honest, I wasn't good enough. I'll have a football podcast, but I'm not very good at football, so I'm not gonna try.
Well, now you've gone down the media. You know, you don't need to play anymore.
Yeah, I can sit at the side now. So then the move to America, was it sort of similar to? So Finn mentioned in college he started sort of approaching this idea. Was it similar for you, or was it any earlier that you sort of decided?
Yeah, well, it had been on the radar for years because my one of my dad's best mates that I've grown up with did it about like 20, 30 years ago when he was a kid. And so I've had it sort of in the back of my mind, sort of growing up. And so I'd always sort of knew I was going to try and do it. And it didn't really become a reality until, sort of saying about first year of college, I think it was about 2018. So about a year before I went is when I went to the first trial. And then, from there, obviously each stage you go through. So each stage you sort of do like 3 trials or 2 or 3 trials. And then each one I kept thinking, oh, it's just an idea. I might not actually do it. And then obviously each stage you go through, it starts to become more of a reality, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so Finn mentioned his was like recorded. Was yours actually, so you mentioned trials, was it actually like games where you were playing for your place in these?
Yeah, so, sorry, carry on, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so because none of my games were ever filmed, well, I never had a game filmed before. So you can do that. If you've had your games filmed, you can send them off. But I didn't have any. So you go up, it was at on QPR's training ground up in just outside London, basically. You go up there and you have the initial trial to even get in the first place, which is like loads of 7-a-side games, which I don't think that's even filmed. They've just got a few coaches there, and then you get through that, and then you have a couple of 11-a-side games, which are all filmed, and then they make like a montage of your best bits from that, and then send it off to the colleges.
Is that quite pressurizing because it's like, while you're there, you're completely there to show yourself?
Yeah.
Is it hard not trying like to overdo it or impress?
Yeah. It's like, it's a weird atmosphere really, because everyone is sort of there, like everyone's there for themselves, and everyone's all got the same thing in their mind, like, oh, I've really got to impress here, I've got to do business. So what you end up having is 11 players on each side just trying to run around everyone and trying to do everything because they want to look the best. And I just hated it.
Yeah.
Because that's not really where I play anyway. So I had so many players all trying to just do everything on their own, not really passing to each other. So it obviously made it difficult. But obviously you just playing like 90-minute games, so you still get good bits, you still get like good highlights, whatever, and then they make it to a video.
Oh, okay. And then you sort of get approached by places, or you approach places. How did it work?
Yeah, so the agency that I'd done the filming with sent it off to sort of however many colleges or whatever, however many colleges, like, and then you start getting offers in. The offers come through that company, and then they send it to you. So I think I got 3 or 4 overall.
Oh, okay. Were they from like completely different places or quite similar places? Was it hard to choose between them?
It was actually made pretty easy for me, really, because so I had one from Ohio, one from New York, one from Kansas, which was the one I went to. But they offer different percentages based on how good they think you are. So
in terms of your scholarship, so the discount.
So they offer a percentage how much of the fees they want to pay for you.
Okay, and how much? So you mentioned you went to Kansas. Was that a full scholarship or part, or what was it?
That was about 80% was the Kansas one. So 80% off. So whereas the other ones were sort of in the region of about 50%, 60%. And so
big decision in you choosing over there, I guess.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest factor. Really, was that it was a lot cheaper, and also the coach actually called me himself from the one that I ended up going to. You want to be wanted, you know what I mean? You want to feel like they actually want you to come.
Yeah, so him calling you sort of made you think that they actually care about you coming there rather than
Yeah,
just the other one sort of just putting an offer and that you've never even met anyone or spoke to anyone from there.
yeah.
Yeah, do you think because
Yeah.
for me, so tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think you make quite impulsive decisions. If am I right with saying that? Like, because obviously we
Yeah,
went
yeah.
to school early on, and then you move one day you just moved to a different school. Do you think this is
Yeah,
an impulsive decision as well, or do you think you
yeah. I
thought,
didn't even tell you, did I? I just left.
no, like you were there one day and next day you're gone?
You got to admit that's quite funny though.
It's funny, but I hope you didn't have
Yeah.
the same thought process in moving to a completely different country, or was it a more thought out decision, or was it also impulsive?
No, yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it was a bit more thought out this one. Yeah, I'd put a little bit more time into this one rather than just coming back from school one day and deciding I was done.
So did you sort of because obviously like we mentioned last time, it was sort of like it's a massive decision moving across the world away from your
Yeah.
friends, family, to a completely different place to study as well. So did you find that really difficult to decide, or was it just a little bit of deciding?
The sort of the moving away side of things didn't really bother me that much. Like, so as in like being away from home, whatever. That wasn't really. Obviously, I knew I was going to miss people, but obviously, I don't really like my friends very much anyway, so that wasn't that much of an issue. And obviously, yeah, being away from my family and friends was hard. But I didn't really. That wasn't really that much of a hard. I don't know. I didn't really find that bit that difficult. I was sort of on the last day before I left. I was like struggling, like getting a bit upset and that. But yeah, that was not too bad really.
Do you think maybe you didn't sort of grasp the like magnitude of completely moving to
Definitely.
which is like a completely different place and 10 hours plus away? Do you think it didn't sort of click it how different it would be?
Definitely, yeah. And then I got there because my dad came out with me when we
Oh,
went out there.
yeah.
Got the flight out with me. And then we were there for like a couple of days. And all the time my old man was there, hadn't really settled in because he was still there. So it sort of felt like I was sort of there was a part of being at home still there. And then he left, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. Like I'm on my own now.
Yeah.
And I stood in my room, looked about, and my dad was gone. I was like, oh, this is actually it. I'm really here on my own on the other side of the world. Bloody hell, what's all this about? And then for the next few days, I was like getting quite homesick. Like I'd say for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Really homesick.
Do you think you found that hard to adapt because obviously you're trying to make friends, but then if you're homesick, it's like you don't even want to really make friends.
Yeah. I was a bit unlucky as well because when I got there, all of the boys were on an away game, like in another state.
Oh yeah, so you didn't get.
So I turned up, and there was like most of the players were gone. So I was like, it was like quite empty there. So yeah, that sort of made it even worse. Yeah.
So when did you arrive there? Was it sort of you mentioned you applied in 2018, so we obviously finished college in the summer of 2019. So did you go over in that summer, or was it towards the end of 2019 you went?
Yeah, no, I went in summer. I think I left. I think it was like late August. Oh no, it can't have been. It might have been a bit earlier, but I think it was. Yeah, it was in August of 2019. I got out there. Yeah, just after we got results. I think it was actually a couple of days after results day at Basik.
Yeah. I think I remember you saying you were going. Was that so? You mentioned obviously the first couple of weeks not having your family there was quite difficult. Do you think it was sort of the fact you had to? It was hard, like learning to do stuff for yourself. Like for me, if I did that, I'd be struggling in terms of like doing stuff for myself. Or was it more the fact not having them there to talk to every day?
Yeah, it was more sort of not having them there rather than sort of doing things because it was catered as well. So all the cooking gets done for you.
Yeah.
Which it was handy, but I mean, food wasn't all that good. But it was handy not having to do it yourself. But yeah, just not having people around me. Like obviously I was only 18, having lived at home all my life. Like I wasn't used to just not having sort of my mum, you know. Yeah, so that bit was difficult. And then doing my own washing as well, nightmare. Never done washing before, so struggling. It was like a communal washing machine. You had to pay $5 every time you wanted to do your washing. I was like, oh, what's this about?
And what was like the city of Kansas like? Because I've never been there. I've seen stuff on the internet, on films and stuff, and it doesn't look the busiest city in the world. Would you agree with that, or was it similar to Brighton? What was it like?
Well, I was actually nowhere near Kansas City. I was right out in the middle of nowhere. So I was right at the bottom of Kansas State, like right down on the border. And Kansas City is right at the top of Kansas State, about a 2-hour drive away.
Okay.
So where I was like a tiny little village. Like there was barely anyone there. Like, so to put it in perspective, right? Milo has 10,000 people in it, roughly. This place had 5,000. So it's like, it was so small, and just sort of like surrounded by fields. Really, it's like there was a town, but yeah, it was small, sort of quiet, not a lot really, all that much going on really.
Was that evident when you applied, or was it sort of only when you got there you realised? Did they show you what it was like before you got there?
That was probably my first mistake I made. Really, was not really looking into the place that much. I sort of thought, if I'm at uni or in like a big college, it shouldn't really matter too much because it'll be like a big campus, which it was. But I probably should have done a bit more research into the town I was going into to see, because then I would have probably seen sort of how small it was and how like remote the whole place was really.
So going back, you would definitely choose another city or town to go to rather than Kansas?
Yeah, well, it's difficult because I would say yes, I would like to have been in a bit of bigger place, but from the offers I got, it would like I don't regret going there because it was sort of the best offer to go to. Yeah. But in terms of if I had the choice to go to maybe somewhere a bit bigger, I probably would have done, looking back.
Yeah, was that a big adaptation? Because obviously Brighton's not the biggest place in the world, but there's a lot going on. There's obviously, you got town with bars, clubs, restaurants, cinema. Obviously, you know everyone here as well, and it's only an hour and a half to London, which is obviously one of the biggest cities in the world. Was that quite a big change from somewhere quite busy all the time, you're always doing something, to somewhere where not a lot's really going on?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Yeah, big difference. Because like you said, like just Brighton, there seems to always be stuff going on, even though it's not massive, but there's like quite a lot happening. You got like obviously the beach.
Yeah,
that was quite a big thing as well, not being by a beach, because like obviously having grown up in Brighton, that was quite a big difference.
Yeah,
but yeah, obviously Kansas City was not far away, and that was brilliant. I loved it there, but I think I only went probably twice the whole time I was there.
Yeah.
But
2 hours.
it's a really good city, really good city.
Was it quite obviously, were there a lot of people there from Kansas, or was it mostly people from other places in America and Europe?
Yeah, it was a real mix actually. There was a lot of, like, especially the football teams was like so diverse. It was unbelievable. So there was like me, and there was four other English except me, so 5 of us all together. 2 of them were actually from up the road, from Crawley, which was quite handy. And a couple of them I'd played against before in county football for Southwick.
That's really strange.
Which was complete coincidence. I didn't even know. And I got there and I thought, oh yeah, I recognise you. And then there was loads of Australians, South Africans, loads of Brazilians. There's just really, really mixed. Like, and then obviously there was Americans there as well, but they were more like the baseball and basketball teams more American, but the football was more like Europeans and Brazilians really. Did
you find that made it difficult to make friends because of like the culture and language barriers, or were people quite friendly?
No, making friends was probably the easiest part of the whole thing. The people there were just absolutely brilliant. I made so many friends, so many good friends, like from all places as well. Like not just I was closest with obviously the English because it's just you just naturally are. Yeah. But yeah, I made really good friends with pretty much everyone really from all over the place. That was probably the most enjoyable thing about it was the people I met. Yeah, and then so obviously we've talked about like the lifestyle of living there. How quickly did you start playing football there? What was it like, the football? I started straight away. From the day I got there, I was into training. But yeah, the football was hit and miss really. Didn't have the season's just so short. I just hadn't that. This is something that I definitely hadn't realised before I got there, and partly my fault because probably should have done more research. But also, it's not made clear. What's that?
Your impulsive decisions.
yeah, there's a pattern occurring, isn't there, in my life by the looks of things. Yeah, I think as much as I should have done more research. I think it should be made more clear by the college before you go there. The season is ridiculously short. I think in the time I was there, I think I played 6 games.
That's ridiculous. In what sort of pit? So it only lasts like 6 weeks, or is it spread out?
Well, it's spread out over. I think the season probably only went from I want to say sort of the start of September till about mid-October.
Yeah, so it's not ideal.
No, and there was a couple more. I only played 6. I had a bit of an injury, so I missed 2. I think there was 8 games. My team played 8 games while I was there. Yeah. Or maybe 8 or 9.
It's not giving you the chance to really develop your football or sort of learn. It's barely, you've never played football. You mentioned you played against a couple, but you've never played football with any of these people before, and then only 8 games to sort of get to know their skill and stuff. That's quite difficult.
Completely, yeah. I just felt as though I was just getting into my stride as it was sort of ending. Yeah. Because it was hard to sort of get used to everyone. And I just sort of felt as though I was I scored a couple, just sort of started to feel like I was getting into it. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh yeah, we've got our last game next week. And I was like, hold on a minute, I'm just getting started.
Yeah. Did they explain why it was such a short season, or did they not really say?
The weather's quite extreme in the Midwest, like in that area of the country. The winters get really, really cold and the summers get really, really hot. So like the conditions aren't really playable in summer or winter because of the extreme like temperatures. So it sort of makes sense. The winter was really like the pitch would just be frozen the whole time, so you couldn't really play. But yeah, I thought it'd be a bit more than that. So a bit gutting about that, really.
Do you think that's another thing they could have made a bit clearer, that you wouldn't be able to? Obviously, you mentioned they could have made clearer you'd play not that many games, but maybe made clear you can't play in this season or in this season because of the weather, and maybe you would have made a different decision.
Yeah, potentially. That's one thing I would like to have known before I got there. Obviously, because you go from England, you're playing sort of 30 games a season.
Yeah.
And you go all of a sudden, 8 games in the season. You think 8 games in the season in an English league, you'd think, oh, it's not even started yet.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, Southampton were top after 10 games. Yeah. And where, like, do you know what I mean? It's like not even got started.
Yeah, and especially like you mentioned the weather. Like even if you've not got games for your college, like even if in England you weren't playing on a weekend for anyone, you could go down with your mates on a weekend to the park and play, or fight aside midweek. You mentioned with the weather, was it like you couldn't even go and train or go and have a kick about even?
We still would. It would be really cold, especially into like November, December. It would be really cold. We still go out and play, but there was a big like indoor football pitch as well. So as it got to the winter months, a lot of the training would be like sort of indoors, like circuit training or like five-a-sides on the indoor pitch, which is pretty good. I like a bit of five-a-side, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously you played a few games. What sort of was the quality like compared to where you'd played before?
Well, so this was the main issue really. So I got there and I got there a little bit late actually because I had a couple of problems with my visa, so I was struggling to get over there. And I got there, and so they were like right, you start because the season was just getting started. They're like, right, you start off in the second team. So I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So start off in the second side, and so I was training with them, and stupidly really, I was going to all the boys in the first team. I was going, oh, don't worry about that. I'll be in your team in like a couple of weeks. I'll move up, like because I thought I would. And the level really wasn't very high. I didn't think of the second team, that is, that I was playing in. I just thought the just the level. The teams we were playing against, the opponents, the team I was playing in, I just really didn't think it was very good at all. I mean, like, I remember some games, like, looking at the board, looking at the starting 11 and thinking, God, my Upper Beeding side from last season would smash this lot.
Yeah.
Like, it really wasn't good.
Was that a big letdown? Obviously, you've gone to study, but also mainly play football. So you're thinking it's going to be like testing you a lot, and then you're going and not really finding.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and like the motivation sort of to play when you're playing against bad players, like and with bad players, your motivation will go down.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the players were bad. It just wasn't a high standard. It was no higher. The standard was no higher than what I was playing in, like, county under-18s football.
Yeah,
like, back at home, and that was why. So the motivation was still there at the start, because I thought, right, if I just put in a couple of good performances, I'll move up to the first side, because the first team were good.
Yeah,
and I thought, yeah, I'll move up and I'll get into the first side, and then it'll all be all right, because that wasn't a bad standard. They were good. And then I thought, sort of 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, I still haven't moved up, and then I'm thinking, hold on a minute, the season finishes in like 3 weeks and I still haven't moved up. There's my opportunity gone. So, and I thought I was doing quite well as well. I thought I was playing well. I was scoring in the second team, and I thought, surely they've got to move me up soon.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of passed me by, and then the season was done, and that was that. It was like, it all just sort of, yeah, never really came off.
Did they explain why you didn't get moved up, or did you go and ask? Or
yeah, I did have a bit of a moan off, actually, because it got to a point when their striker, the first team striker, had been sent off, and we had just won 2-1 in the second team, and I'd scored both, and I thought, this is it. I've got to go. I've got to move up now. There's no way they can't do it. Just they haven't got, their striker's just been sent off. So anyway, weekend comes around. I still wasn't in the squad, and I thought, this isn't right. So I went and spoke to the manager, and I said, come on, what's going on here? Like, I don't see why at least you wouldn't put me on the bench and bring me on. And he said, oh, well, we've sort of got our squad now, and it's too late into the season. We don't really want to start changing things. And then I was just disheartened after that. I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to be stuck in this, if I'm not, because obviously you always want to progress. You always want to get to the highest level possible.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, he's basically now told me that I can't, no matter what I do, I can't move up. So I thought, oh, well, I don't know what to, yeah, that was sort of knocked my confidence a little bit, I suppose.
And he didn't really give you sort of an insight into why, from what it sounds like, why you weren't getting picked. So you didn't even have stuff you could work on. It was just like, you're stuck there.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, there wasn't much of an explanation really, other than he just sort of said he liked his squad how it was, and he didn't really feel like he needed another sort of striker or another player. And I say that, I wasn't even playing up front at the time. They were playing me in central midfield, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, so he didn't really give an explanation as to why he didn't want me to play, other than he just didn't really want to change things. So I just sort of thought, all right, I'll see how it is, sort of thing. Yeah. I wasn't happy, really wasn't happy. But
do you think that sort of started because obviously you eventually left? Do you think that was the start of sort of you wanting to, like, getting fed up with it and just having enough of it?
Yeah, I think a lot of things all together made my decision. Like, so there wasn't just one instance or one thing that made me want to go. It was a combination of the location of where I was living, the subjects that I was having to do, the season being so short. It was like a sort of a big band of things all put together, which then led to my decision eventually to I'm better off going to uni in England.
Because I imagine you sort of, when you sort of going out there, you're like, this is probably opportunity of your life, like moving to America, play football every day. Like, was that sort of quite hard to take? It not.
Oh, really? It's still hard. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Was it really hard to take, not going how you thought it was going to go?
Still hard to take now. It's still. Yeah. Because it does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity, because it is such a big thing. And it does feel like, a little bit of a missed opportunity, I suppose. Because but I don't regret coming back. I think I did the right thing. Yeah. But yeah, it does feel like I missed it a little bit.
So when did you decide to come back, and how quickly did you manage to come back once you decided?
There was the thing that made me decide to come back. This is so stupid, honestly. We played this game, and this was after I'd had this conversation with the manager, Yeah, you're not going to believe this. So stupid. We played against this team. It was miles away. It was in Oklahoma, which is like so the state down from where we were. It was like 6-hour drive, and we had a couple of injuries as well. I was actually carrying an injury, but I thought there's only 3 games left. I've got to play just because there was such a shortage of games. I thought I've got to get in as many minutes as possible. So we went down to this game, and it was this college's senior day, which basically means it's their like last day. It's like their last game.
Okay.
So this is like a big party for them. The whole college has turned up, like, to watch.
Yeah.
And and so it's like loads of people there. Anyway, half time was 6-0 down. And I thought, oh, what am I doing? This is, I was just in the worst. Oh, I just couldn't believe it. And then, funniest, and then he come in, team talk, manager just started laughing. And the team talk was wild. He was like, so he comes in, he goes, it's just the weirdest, like, most surreal experience. He starts like hysterically laughing, and then goes, do any of you know any girls? And then everyone goes, what? And he goes, girls, do any of you know any girls? No one says anything. And he goes, yeah, no, I'm not surprised, because no girls want to know anyone who is losing 6-0 at half time. And then he starts laughing again and walks out the changing room. Is that the weirdest thing to say?
I mean,
anyway,
yeah, it's not the best team talk I've ever heard.
Oh no, I just found it. I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, so we went out in the second half. Yeah, ended up losing 10-0. And then I walked off the pitch, and I was just like, yeah, I've got to get out of here. This ain't worth it.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous, isn't it?
So then you sort of straight away, like, don't know how it works. Did you like tell them you're leaving? Like, you had to hand like notice in or anything like that?
I didn't actually mention it to anyone. For ages, I kept it to myself. But I'd made my mind up from then. And then the season finished, in sort of mid-October. Like, so I had that, and then there was 2 more games after that. Played the last game. We actually won the last game somehow. I was on the bench, came on. I actually scored.
Was this the second team?
This was still for the second team. Okay. Yeah, I never ended up moving up. But I'd already decided I was leaving.
Yeah.
And then it got to sort of about a week before, so like mid-December, like coming up to Christmas, when I was coming back for Christmas anyway.
Yeah.
And I just said I'm not coming back. And then it was pretty easy, really. It didn't have to do anything really. Just said I wasn't coming back, and I said, yeah, all right.
Do you think?
And that was pretty it.
They weren't really. It doesn't sound through the whole process like there was much sort of personal, like one-to-one sort of care about anyone who was there. Well, specifically from your experience, like there wasn't much care about you not playing, you not really enjoying the city, like settling you in, and then when you're leaving, they don't even seem that bothered.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There was people there that did care, but not the managers. I never really had a relationship. There was one lady actually who was lovely. She was like sort of like for the international students that come from far away. She was like the I don't know what the name, sort of technical name for it is, but she was like the one who did all the help for all the international students. She was lovely, and she actually did do a lot for me and a lot of the internationals. And she was sort of like the one who done all the caring, and then the managers just weren't bothered.
Yeah, it's quite bad, because I imagine sort of like what we were talking about, like it being such a good experience and then going like horribly wrong must have impacted sort of, like your mental health quite badly.
Yeah. Having said all that, I know obviously I've pretty much said it wasn't great. I did actually have a really good time. Like it doesn't sound, but I did really enjoy it. It was just the football wasn't great, but the actual experience as a whole was brilliant. I really really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like sort of the social wise, and like sort of it picked up actually after the season finished and after the footballs were out of the way and I didn't have that to worry about. I started like really enjoying it even more, because then I thought, I've got nothing to worry about now. I know I'm going home, so I don't need to worry about. So I've got no worries now. I just go and enjoy myself, and nothing can really go wrong. I'm going home at Christmas anyway.
So it sort of turned into more of a holiday than.
Yeah, honestly, I could not put it any better myself. I went and so I loved it the last few months. So once October was done, November and December were brilliant. And then that was when, so like talking mental health wise, it was sort of brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. I was like got so much happier. I was like having a great time.
So do you think if the football had gone better, say in the second week you got put into the first team, you might have stayed longer, or do you think you still would have left?
That is, I've had this conversation with my dad so many times. I really don't know. Obviously, I think it would definitely would have added a different element to my decision to come back, because it would have made it harder for me to decide. But there were still other things. So like the subjects, the degree. I know this is something Finn mentioned actually. Same sort of thing. You have to do, so whatever degree you choose. I chose media, and I think it was I was doing media and communications was my degree. I've ended up doing, you make sense of this, right? I've ended up doing art appreciation, American politics, history, and what was the other one? Sociology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that does not. That's not what you want to be doing, is it?
Yeah, and that was probably the most annoying thing. I was getting up, so every day it was like, so you'd have your classes in the morning, and then you'd train in the afternoon. So I'd get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was doing all these lessons. I just had no interest in whatsoever, like learning about like giving it like Da Vinci and all this art stuff. I didn't know what was going on, and go on.
Do you think that was sort of like almost going back to school, like I mentioned with Finn, about sort of like going back to school in a way, because obviously we all went to the same college, me, you and Finn, and it's like it's quite independent. You study 3 subjects you really want to study. You focus on those. Was that going back to school having to do like subjects you didn't want to do?
Yeah, exactly that. You go there, and it just feels like doing. Do you remember like you being like year 8, you used to do stuff like RE and whatever, like drama, and you're just sitting there thinking, why am I doing this? Like in year 8, as an 11-year-old or whatever, I was thinking, I'm 18, I'm doing a degree, I'm a university student, I'm here doing like all this stuff that I didn't even choose.
Yeah.
Some of it's quite interesting, I suppose, but I had no interest in it really. That is another thing that, again, probably another mistake maybe I made, but also maybe should have been let known, that I didn't even know that was a thing. I looked at my time. When I got there, I looked at my timetable, and I was like, I think there's been some kind of mistake. Like I've got art on my timetable and history or whatever, and they were like, oh no, it's not a mistake. You're doing that.
It sounds like a lot was sort of not really explained of how it would all work. Sort of to give you, if you'd known that, then like fair enough, you've decided to do that, but it doesn't seem like you were sort of aware of what it entailed in terms of studying, how the football would work. It seems a lot like you're in the dark about a lot of things.
Again, I can't just blame anyone and everyone. I've got to take some of it myself. I should have done more to find these things out before I went, definitely. But you are you're left in the dark a little bit. You get out there and you don't really know. I didn't really know what was going on until I got there.
You think in terms of the research, because for me, I'm not really great at research.
No, not from I.
If you're like you've got this excitement about going to America, you're playing football, like before you go, you just want to sort of see people you're not going to see for a while, and you're sort of not thinking even when you decide to go, you're just sort of like, oh, that looks cool, I'll do it. Do you think going back, you would definitely research more and take more time in your decision?
You're absolutely spot on. That last summer, just turned 18 in May.
Yeah. I'm
just thinking, right, festivals, holidays, nights out, just do it. I just wanted to do everything, see everyone, because I knew, because I wasn't planning on coming back at Christmas. I thought I was going to be there for the 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this could potentially be the last chance I get, sort of for a while, to see all my mates, go and do all these things. So didn't really think about revising, not like researching. I just thought, right, I'm going to just do as much as possible for as long as possible all summer. I think I went on like 2 or 3 holidays, a couple of festivals. Didn't do any research. I mean, I don't regret that, because I had a great summer. I did loads of cool stuff. Yeah. But probably should have looked into it a bit more and not taking it more seriously, because I took it very seriously, but just taking a bit more time, I suppose, to
maybe like, because obviously it's such a big life decision, like 4 years, obviously it didn't work out, but 4 years potentially of your life in a different country, you think maybe you didn't quite sort of, because obviously at our age you don't really think, oh, 4 years, like that will fly by. Do you think maybe you would have thought that is quite a big chunk of my life that I need to sort of think about?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, being a kid, isn't it? You don't really think. You just do things.
Exactly, yeah. You also, am I right in saying you had quite a bad injury, either when you're over there or when you just came back? Am I right?
Yeah. I got back at Christmas. I played one game, and then I tore my ACL. It's not even funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. It was brutal.
And where were you playing when you tore your ACL? Was it for a local team or?
I was playing for Upper Beeding in a friendly. It's the most gutting thing. I wasn't even playing for them at the time. I didn't even play for them. It was a friendly, and they were short, so they asked me to come and play.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, right, whatever, I'll come and play. In fact, I didn't even just tore my ACL. It was so bad. I tore my ACL and MCL and fractured my kneecap in one injury. It was just brutal.
Yeah.
You know the metal fences you have around the side of the pitch, like the sort of metal railings. Yeah, I just got tackled into that, went flying into it. Yeah. But sort of, yeah. That was like my second game back.
I remember
from there.
That was quite a difficult thing. Obviously, you've had a bit of a good experience, but in terms of football, not that.
Yeah.
Come back to sort of Upper Beeding, a lot of people we both know, a lot of your mates play there. You're sort of looking forward to sort of playing again with your mates, having a good time with your football, and then that happens. Was that sort of like you sort of thought you couldn't really catch a break in terms of your football?
Yeah. Well, it ended up all right, because, well, not ended up all right. Obviously, you never want to get a bad injury. But about 2 weeks later, all the football got cancelled anyway because of Corona. So luckily, I didn't actually miss any football, which was sort of good. Obviously not good, but yeah. Because I was thinking, I'd done the injury and I was thinking, oh, I can't believe this. I've just got back to England. I wanted to play a few games. And now I'm out. I'll be out for about I was out for ages. I was on crutches for ages. But then, yeah, Corona came along. It all got cancelled anyway. So I didn't actually miss anything, which was lucky.
So obviously, yeah, Corona sort of saved your sort of football in a way. But do you think at the time, I imagine you felt pretty low about playing?
Oh, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted.
Yeah. Because for me,
yeah,
even like I just play five-a-side and every week, and even for me, that's such a release. Like I love playing five-a-side. Sort of, you only think about football, like it's brilliant, and then not to be able to have not play with your mates for ages and not really enjoyed the football in America, then come back and then do that and think you're not going to be able to play for ages. Was that a big thing for you?
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, honestly, I was so gutted. I couldn't believe it. That night I got back from hospital, and I just couldn't believe how it all gone so wrong. Like,
yeah,
I was devastated. And then obviously, so I didn't walk for like months. I was on crutches.
Yeah.
And then come off crutches. Football was still cancelled anyway. Luckily, I'm playing again now. I'm playing five-a-side again now.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I was so gutted. You're playing at the moment, and you're playing five-a-side.
Yeah. So we play every week. Yeah. It's enjoyable, to be fair. I love it.
We'll have to give you a game.
Yeah. I'm not sure how well we'll do, to be honest. But
in fact, I actually got Cal playing for both.
Yeah, well, he says he plays for us, but he plays about once every 8 months. So,
yeah, he only passes sideways and backwards anyway. You can have him. Yeah, no, one day we'll give you a game.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think you sort of had to you sort of fell out of love with football when that happened? Like, in terms of like, you've always loved football, like since ever I've known you, you've played football, you've loved football. Do you think those experiences made you sort of think, why do I love this sport? Or like it made you sort of not want to play as much?
I'd say I sort of lost a bit of faith in myself, really, rather than the actual sport. Because I started to think, oh, maybe it's not like, it's not, it might not be for me. Like, I've gone out there, not really, still had a good time, scored, like done all right, but not really to the level I wanted to. Come back in and got injured. It's like, am I really? It's not going well for me.
Yeah.
So I've always loved football. I'm addicted to football. Honestly, I've been really struggling not playing at the moment.
Yeah.
But then, I come back from the injury, started playing again in sort of like September, October time. And then straight away, as soon as one five-a-side game, I was like back to loving it again. Didn't forgot it ever happened.
Yeah. So do you think now? So now you mentioned, so you've obviously come back now. Obviously, was that sort of not an embarrassment, but hard to sort of, with obviously you said obviously your dad was went out with you. Like I know you're obviously very close to him, and then obviously your mates, you told them all you're going away for 4 years. Was that sort of hard to come back and say, oh, I'm back, but it didn't go that well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you get bantered about it all the time. Like I still do now. Like, yeah, it's a little bit. I think I was more affected by it at the time. It doesn't like. I just find it all quite like not funny. I don't find it funny. Like I find it fine to talk about now. But I was a bit embarrassed at the time. Yeah, because you make out like it's this big thing and it's going to be quality and you're going to be so successful. And then yeah, you're back at Christmas and I think, oh no, the boys are going to batter me for this. Oh my god. But yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but not anymore. I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got a few questions.
Oh yeah.
I'll start with one. So we got Abdi, who we both played football with. He said,
yeah.
"What was life like at Southwick playing with so many ballers like Abdi scoring so many goals?" Do you think he means someone else called Abdi or?
Yeah, I think there must have been another Abdi somewhere because I don't remember this specific Abdi actually scoring at all. But yeah, obviously playing with people like Abdi, Isak, tremendous footballers. Yeah, I remember even Isak one time coming on for 5 minutes, getting booked and going straight off again. I thought it's just brilliant, isn't it? Players like this come once in a generation. So yeah, obviously Abdi, if you are listening, thanks for letting me play with you. You made my experience at Southwick that 10 times better. So thanks a lot.
He also said, and then leaving and having a bad time at Upper Beedon, who weren't as good.
Yeah. Did it? Yeah, we played against them a couple of times for Upper Beedon against Southwick. Yeah. Well, it's just a bit of a coincidence how Southwick were better when I was at Southwick and then Beedon were better when I was at Beedon. I don't know. It's a bit of a common. No. To be fair, them games them games were quite good actually. When we was at Upper Beedon and then we was playing against Southwick, it was pretty funny. To be fair, they beat us one game, but I was actually out injured for that one. So.
Yes, that's the reason.
Yeah, it must have
been. Adam said, "Were you good enough?" So obviously you mentioned. I'm not sure if he's being serious or not, but I'll go with the serious one. So obviously you mentioned you struggled to get from the second to the first team. Do you think that was anything down to what you were doing, or do you think it was just not enough really encouragement or sort of opportunity?
Yeah, I think I was good enough. I definitely think I was good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't need to be taking anything off Adam because, I play five-a-side with him every week, and I see the chances he misses, so I don't really need to hear much about being good enough from him. But yeah, no, I do think I was good enough. I think just the season being so short, never really had the time to sort of get into your stride and make a real mark. Yeah. But yeah, I think given a bit more time, maybe I would have done. But I would never know, will we?
And my brother asked, what did you find hardest about adapting to life in America? Obviously, we've mentioned sort of the place. Was there anything else, or was it just down to the location, really? I
think the biggest adaptation was sort of probably the way the living quarters, living in a room with having two roommates, and sort of like just the sort of changing like lifestyle, going from like living in a house and going to college, say in England, playing football in England, so then living in like a small room in like a dorm sort of thing. It's a big change, but that's sort of good because you've got all like people the same age you're living around you, like so it's quite good fun.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's probably the biggest one, I guess. Yeah, and just sort of the change in culture, like the way sort of the way American people sort of act, and the sense of humor is all completely different, and just the way life is. But yeah, it wasn't too hard to adapt, I don't think.
The biggest question I have, which I also asked Finn, did you call it soccer while you were there? Because I think that's
absolutely not.
Yeah, that I don't think you should be allowed back into England if you did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no. And the worst thing was I used to hear English people calling it soccer, and I'd always call them out for it because I think it's a disgrace. Honestly, I don't think. Yeah, I actually agree with you. If an English person goes to America and says the word soccer once, shouldn't let them back. Disgraceful.
another question we had was sort of, would you do it again? So say you got an email tomorrow saying you got an opportunity to do this experience. What would you say to it? Would you go for it again? Try it out again, or would you say no, like, leave me alone?
Good question. I'd say purely based on just having to do the 2 years of them subjects, I'd probably say no.
Okay.
Purely because I've got into uni now in England, in Bournemouth, and I just think to go there and do a degree that I actually chose, rather than going to America to do 2 years of something I didn't choose again. Regardless of football, I think I'd probably say no. I've considered it loads. I've thought about it loads because it is exciting and it's just something a bit different. But I think just based on subjects alone, I'd probably say no.
Yeah. Okay. So you just wouldn't, based on the subjects.
Probably not.
If say it was like you just did the subject you wanted to do, do you think you would, or do you think?
Then I'd have a real decision on my hands.
Yeah.
Difficult. I'd say, it's such a hard question. I don't know. I'd say I definitely recommend it to someone. If someone hasn't done it yet, if they're willing to do the subjects for them 2 years that you don't really like, if you're willing to make that sacrifice, I'd say definitely do it. It's worth it. But yeah, just obviously you'd have to be aware that is going to happen. You're going to do them subjects that you don't want to do. But if you're prepared to make that sacrifice, then yeah, I'd say do it.
And my final question before we wrap it up was just sort of, what sort of advice would you give to someone in the first year of college who's maybe looking at doing this, sending off their footage? What would you say to them to think about a lot, or what sort of advice would you give them?
Do it. Definitely do it. But make sure you know everything. You've got to make sure you know where you're going to, know everything about it, know how long the season is, what subjects you're doing. You want to know everything, but definitely do it. It's such a good experience. Like something you could never get anywhere else. I'd say, yeah, 100%. But just make sure you know your stuff and you know what's going on. But yeah, definitely do it. Definitely recommend.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll finish there. Thanks for doing that.
Cheers for having me.